I'd like to call up our Evolution of Prince George's County Economic Development Plan. County Executive Alsobrooks, you're welcome to come to the stage. Angie Rogers, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer of Economic Development, and Brad Frome, partner of Rise Investment Partners. Brad, your title doesn't do you justice. You're a Renaissance man of the county, and have had many different perspectives. We're thrilled to have you as our moderator this afternoon. And thank you so much thanks for joining so many BisNow events.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. Brad, good afternoon.
Thank you. Renaissance man is one thing I've never been called before. So unless that's code word for something else, then maybe. Before we get started on the questions, County Executive, you want to give a quick introduction, welcoming remarks?
Well, okay, this is on. First of all, I want to thank BisNow for being here again this year. We always look forward to it. And I certainly want to thank also Taisha Cotman. I don't think we could have done any better than that. She sounds like a proud Prince Georgian. Do you all agree? So I just want to thank her for the partnership and for the wonderful words she gave. And just to also say, Angie Rogers, you'll hear from in a moment. This entire team, we are so excited to be here this afternoon to discuss with all of you not only the wonderful present that we're experiencing in Prince George's, but the future as well. All of us, when we were last here, none of us had any idea that we would experience COVID-19. But what I think I can tell you is that we believe, from our perspective, that this is absolutely the moment we've been waiting for, that we experienced not only the struggles of COVID-19, but we have also seen tremendous growth. We've seen tremendous opportunity, and it is just our mission to make sure that we convert every single opportunity that has presented itself to us on behalf of Prince Georgians, and we feel that's happening. So the news is good news. When I was here last, I'll say this and pass it on, the question came to me, what should I say to those who are looking to invest in Prince George's? And you may recall that at the time I said, get in while you still can. And you know what? That hasn't changed. We believe that now is a time not only of tremendous opportunity, but we continue to be the economic driver in the state, and we are going to continue to be that. So we're just so thrilled to see all of you today and to have a chance to discuss with you Prince George's County.
Angie?
Good evening or good afternoon. I'm losing track of what time it is in the day. Angie Rogers, I'm the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development for Prince George's County, and started maybe about 3 weeks before the news about COVID-19 started to trickle out. But this has been an amazing ride, and I think testament to what the opportunity of Prince George's County is, because I got to know my job and our economic development cluster and pushed out the county executives a new economic development platform and a bunch of new funding opportunities and development to go along with it, all in a pandemic. So imagine what we're going to do when we're not hindered by COVID-19. That is the opportunity of Prince George's County, and I'm so glad you all are here tonight to hear more about that.
Great. Before we start the questions, just a quick word about myself, which is also a good signal to check your phones or take a power nap. Brad Frome worked for county government for about 2 decades, worked for County Executive Baker, did economic development, regulatory affairs, was honored and privileged to serve in the Alsobrooks administration. Left a couple years back, joined the private sector with my good buddy Justin Ross, with Rise Investment Partners, where we do a lot of what we've been doing even in our time in the public sector, which is trying to bring quality, transformative projects to the county. My home for almost 30 years now. Okay, with that, wake back up, put the phones back down, wake back up. Let's hear from the people we're actually here to hear from. So County Executive Alsobrooks, what is your vision for economic development in Prince George's County, and where do you see the county 5-10 years from now as a result of that vision?
So, I'll describe it this way. There was so much momentum even as I came into office, and much of that was around transit-oriented development and these amazing assets that we have in Prince George's in these 15 metro stations. So you will see in Prince George's County that we have continued to develop out that vision, to not only develop around transit-oriented development, but to also invest in these downtowns and the hometowns of Prince George's County. You'll see this happening in really beautiful ways. Angie Rogers came on board, as she described to you, right before COVID-19 hit us full steam, and helped us to build out the vision around the Blue Line corridor. There was already the downtown area of Largo that my predecessor brought into play, and then the Blue Line corridor is an area that we have really spent the last at least year or two partnering with the state, partnering with the federal government to make really important investments to build out what will be a multimodal, an amenity-rich sports and entertainment district that is coming from the District of Columbia, coming all the way down into Prince George's County. And so this is a part of the vision, but you'll see it all around the county, not only the Blue Line corridor, but you'll see this vision happening in Suitland. I'm just amazed, and I know we'll have time to talk more about this. If you all haven't seen New Carrollton yet, I say rush there as soon as you leave here this evening and see what is happening in New Carrollton. But you'll see explosive, beautiful growth that is very intentional. I want to thank David Iannucci, who is also in here today, and the Economic Development Corporation folks from there are with us this afternoon. But you'll see just explosive and very intentional growth designed to, again, amenity-rich sports and entertainment, and to really maximize the assets that we have, as well as some of the natural character of the county.
Angie, anything you'd like to add?
Sure. The only thing I will add to that is that in terms of vision, I say to folks all the time that if you are a developer, business owner, entrepreneur, et cetera, and you are looking for what is your 20 or 30-year pipeline of next deals, then Prince George's is the place to look. We are inviting people to come and play the long game with us. When we talk about those metro stations, a lot of what's around those metro stations is not reaching its current development capacity. That is opportunity for people like you, the people in this room. What we are trying to do as the government partner to help reach that vision is to go in and put in the infrastructure investments. And now with this new infusion of state funding for the Blue Line corridor that hopefully everybody's heard about, we'll get to go in and even put in some vertical development that can act as catalysts for neighborhoods that then get to see the next wave of development of amenities, of multifamily, of all of the things that we're saying we want in our county. So we are trying to play that role early on to do that investment that then unlocks the potential for lots more to come.
You know, you might have mentioned this. If you did, it's worth repeating. The amount of funds that the county executive and her team were able to get from the state last year in the budget, $400 million. Is that right?
Yeah,
Plus.
Well, and what we'll say is, let's just say it this way, and I do want to give a lot of credit also to our delegation who did a yeoman's job. In fact, no one's done it better. We had a historic year this past legislative session where we brought back $2.9 billion in state aid. This is the largest sum of aid we've ever been able to bring back to Prince George's County, which includes $400 million in bonding capacity to go around FedEx Field. We also were able to bring in additional dollars to go toward our amphitheater. I hope you all are excited about soon being able to hear live music at a brand new amphitheater in Prince George's County. We have also infrastructure dollars along the Blue Line corridor that will allow it to be walkable, bikeable, beautiful spaces connected to nature. So we have those dollars. Also additional dollars going around the Arena Drive area to add to the $17.6 million we got last year. There was a $20 million investment made in those infrastructure, infrastructure along that road as well. So lots of investment and more to come. More to come.
I would want to point out that we went from concept to that level of funding in less than 2 years. So if that is an indication to anyone about how aggressive this administration is positioning itself as it relates to economic development, anybody in here who's ever known, who's ever done any development, you know, to go from concept to a $400+ million investment in less than 2 years. That is phenomenal work, and we hope that's an indication to everyone about how aggressive we're going to be on the implementation of that $400 million.
I can speak now for the private sector that it definitely got folks' attention, that's for sure. So you talk about the pipeline and the 5-year, the 10-year, and the 20-year, 30-year. What are the projects that are moving forward right now? And what are some of the ones you want to highlight? Why are they important? And how are they difference makers?
So go back to the Blue Line corridor where Carillon is still unfolding. We're very excited about that. Near the new hospital, you'll see in that same space a $67 million cancer center. And for those of us who are celebrating our survivors this month for breast cancer, you'll recognize it's so important to us is the investments we're making in health care. So the new hospital, the $67 million cancer center, a new medical office building to help us refocus our efforts on bringing back primary care physicians. Go down the road a bit to the Hampton Park Mall development project that we're excited about. You'll see that coming out of the ground as well. And I go back again to New Carrollton, which will absolutely blow your mind when you go by there and see not only the Kaiser headquarters, but you'll see that WMATA decided to get in on the fun and bring their headquarters there. We're seeing the multifamily dwellings come up now, but we're looking forward to a hotel and a total remake of that New Carrollton station there to the tune of about $1 billion worth of development that will be coming there. And we know as well that as Union Station closes to renovate its space for 2 years, we know that New Carrollton will now be the premier transit hub on the eastern seaboard for at least 2 years. All of that traffic will be coming through New Carrollton. Excited about the new site where the former hospital was located in Cheverly. You'll see that's the highest point in Prince George's County, so very exciting opportunities in that area as well as what's happening along the Purple Line, where we'll have some affordable housing strategies that we're employing there, and in College Park. So it's just Suitland, Maryland. We're very excited about what is happening there, and to show you again how attractive these sites are. The NV Homes portfolio that exists in Suitland, Maryland, is the fastest selling in the NV Homes catalog. Was the fastest selling in the country, was right in Suitland, Maryland, where those homes sold at a rapid pace. And so that's some of what we're excited about. And Angie, I don't know, any you want to highlight?
Is that an invitation for her to also talk about Greenbelt?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Greenbelt?
Greenbelt, yeah, well, and you know what, and we're anticipating when you talk about what we're excited about, let me just tell you one that, honestly, if you hear a loud pop in the next month or two, just pardon me, you'll hear that the FBI has decided to bring its headquarters to Prince George's County, so we know we're fully expecting that announcement. We're very hopeful that announcement will be made to either come to Greenbelt or to the Landover site. And so just great news on the horizon.
It is nice to have a president who cares more about sound policy than hotel competition. That's a pretty good thing to have. One other investment that's it's plodding along, it's halting, but it is going to be moving forward. And I know good news was released recently with regard to the Purple Line and the continuation of construction and getting that finalized. What is the county doing? We have all these great metro stations that many of which have a lot of potential, and now we're going to get an inventory of additional light rail stations to add to that opportunity list. What's the county doing to prepare themselves for those opportunities the Purple Line is going to bring?
So we'll talk, Angie, I'll let you talk some about the right of first refusal and some of the other great things we're doing along.
Sure. Well, the first thing I'll say about just the importance of the Purple Line to Prince George's County and, sort of being able to link the western side of the region to the eastern side of the region in a really succinct way. This is one of the things that makes New Carrollton, that there will be a Purple Line station there to add to all of the other transportation options that then, connect folks up the East Coast or up and down the Mid-Atlantic. So from a transportation perspective, the Purple Line is a game changer for us. For what we're focused on, I think there are two main things. One is just ensuring that particularly the existing small and minority businesses that exist along the Purple Line, that they have the support that they need through this process in order to survive and to hopefully grow bigger and better once the Purple Line is in place. And we've got several initiatives and support running through our Economic Development Corporation and our Financial Services Corporation to support those businesses. But to the county executive's point, one of the big concerns all along has been the amount of naturally occurring affordable housing along the Purple Line. And whenever you introduce a new transit option, new development of that type, you almost always are going to start to squeeze the households that are currently there. So we are focused on tools to be able to keep those households in place so that they can enjoy the new amenities that are coming forward. And so we have put new tools on the table. There was an existing law in the county, right of first refusal, that basically says if a building, 20 or more units, goes for sale, you have to offer it to the county first. We had not operationalized that law, but in early 2021 we did. We have a bench of 29 developers who help us operationalize, and since the beginning of 2021 we preserved over 1,200 units, most of those along the Purple Line. And so we're going to continue to be aggressive to do work like that.
You brought up right of first refusal and affordable housing in general. I know a lot of folks in the region have heard Prince George's County's focus now on affordable housing, and not, we have a lot of what I always would refer to as affordable by neglect, but not quality, purpose-built affordable housing that folks who live there can truly be proud of. What is the county's posture with regard to affordable housing, as far as, if there's folks in this room who operate in that space, what should they be on the lookout for? What are some of the parameters that the county wants to see? Are there specific locations? How can these guys answer that call to help partner with you guys to deliver affordable housing?
Sure, I'll jump in there and say that our posture is largely about preservation. I think that's where we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck, and particularly preservation along places like the Purple Line, the Blue Line, near transit, inside the Beltway. And so that's the reason why we're focusing on tools like the right of first refusal and focusing our Housing Investment Trust Fund on Blue Line and Purple Line. If folks are looking to get into this in the county, I think that is the way to help us think about how we start to turn some of that naturally occurring affordable housing into committed affordable housing, and then start to raise the quality of that housing. Because you're exactly right. People would say to me all the time, Angie, why do you want to focus on affordable housing in Prince George's County? We have so much of it already. But people are living in astoundingly bad conditions in some sense, because the rent is cheap, but the quality is really low as well. And we can use our tools to help bring that quality up.
That's right. And give a plug to the county, too. Starting this year, there's a dedicated revenue stream, portion of recordation
Absolutely.
tax.
Thank you, County Council.
Yeah, that's going to be funding, juicing up the Housing Investment Trust Fund, which I think just speaks to that kind of commitment.
Thank you, County Council, and also thank you to the state, because the state stepped in this year and doubled our investments in the Housing Investment Trust Fund and also in our right of first refusal fund. So we've got a lot of great partners helping us along.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you're going to get reelected, and there's going to be a second term. At least that's what we're hoping, and I'm thinking, cross my fingers. I think we're looking good. With your first term wrapping up, what are some of the lessons you learned with regard to, in general, but also specifically with economic development, and how have you taken some of those lessons to prepare yourself for the second term?
So what I'll say about that in terms of lessons learned is I think the whole landscape changed as a result of COVID-19. And as I mentioned to you, we don't regard this as a bad thing. I think that what we saw is the way that people live has changed. And it really does play to Prince George's County's strength with the open spaces that we have, the parks, the trails. This is a real asset that we have, is so much open space. But people have also changed the way that they work. And nobody, I believe, is better positioned than Prince George's County to receive the new businesses and to accommodate the new ways that people want to live. And so the whole landscape has changed. We planted some seeds very, very early on, very fortunately. Even in 2019, when we started making some investments, some of it was in our agencies in terms of the technology, making really sound investments in technology, making sure that we could, for example, go do virtual inspections. We invested in the Department of Permitting Inspections and Enforcement, the Office of Central Services to make sure we had e-procurement. Some of these things we couldn't anticipate would become really vital to how we did business even after the pandemic struck. And just also making investments in education. You know, we brought out of the ground in the middle of COVID 11 new schools we broke ground on in the middle of COVID-19. And so we made some very sound investments. And what I'll say about the second term is that we are going to enjoy watching those seeds grow. So we made the investments, we've really done the work, and we're just going to really enjoy watching those seeds grow.
You know, one thing I've learned during the pandemic too is, and let me just say too, that if anyone wanted a better window into how the county executive thinks and operates, it was seeing her during the pandemic, because she wore on her sleeve just concern and care for her residents, and I think that deserves a lot of credit.
Can I add one thing, Brad?
Absolutely.
You know, one other component is never underestimate the value of relationships and partnerships. We knew this all along, but, you know, there's a saying, the lottie-dottie and everybody. We worked with lottie-dottie and everybody to make sure that we could make really generational investments in the county, really maximizing the relationships and working hard to build on relationships with the state, for example. And some of what Angie has described in terms of the investments that we've seen in infrastructure and parks and trails and the amphitheater, none of those things could have happened without positive relationships. But the same is true for the federal government. Really working hard with the delegation. We have raised grants that we are now watching in New Carrollton, a little over $20 million there. We've seen so many investments. We have now another commitment, again, hoping that the FBI does opt to come here, $200 million that we had set aside for infrastructure dollars just in case the FBI decides to come to Prince George's County, and we're expecting to add to that up to another $500 million from the federal government. So really, so making sure that we work as one team, the state, the federal, and local government, just really painting the vision for them, and working along with our delegation and sending everybody out really with the same kind of mission, and we have seen tremendous progress and results as a result of it.
Gotcha. I'm being asked to take questions from the crowd.
We had a couple of questions emailed in, and before I say that, when that FBI news, not if, but when it gets announced, there's a BisNow event, like this is like the greatest BisNow event ever. It's like FBI HQ Palooza or something is what we'll call it. And you're all,
We like that.
Yeah, no, it'll be amazing. We'll have confetti cannons and T-shirt guns and all kinds of stuff. We'll bring for the real estate and business community. So we're thrilled to host you. And by participating here, you'll get a discount. We've had a number of. You can text in a question there, but we had a couple questions come in, and I'm going to summarize 3 of those questions as such. And please, by the way, respond to the question you'd like, not necessarily as I've articulated it. The question is, sometimes our neighbors to the west in Montgomery County get a bad rap for potentially being hard to do business at times. Right of first offer, or the right of first refusal, for instance, how would you respond to someone that says that makes it actually harder, especially for commercial real estate investors, to bring in outside investment into the county? How would you respond to someone that says that might make it ever so slightly harder to do business in the county?
So I don't think that it makes it hard at all. What we are looking for through right of first refusal are 2 things. One, looking to preserve affordable housing, and we're looking to upgrade the quality of some of our affordable housing in the county. An investor could come to us and say, hey, I'm going to buy this building. And County, I want to work with you to achieve the objectives that you are looking to achieve. And that's completely fine. If they don't want to work with us to achieve the objectives then we're going to go to our list of 29 developers who do want to help us. So it's not a barrier, but it's a vehicle for helping us to achieve our goals.
Thank you. Question for the county executive. What are some of the hot sectors that you see in the county's future in 5 to 10 years? Examples might be life science, cybersecurity, and other economic drivers throughout suburban Maryland. What are you most excited about for Prince George's as far as economic drivers 5, 10 years out?
Well, one of the areas that we've been working on is really increasing the presence of the federal government in Prince George's. We know, for example, that out of the 600,000 plus federal employees who live in this area, Prince George's County is home to a disproportionate share of about 20% or so, but we only host about 4% of the jobs here, and so we have made very aggressive efforts to bring to Prince George's County increased federal presence, and not just warehouse, but 48% of what we have now is warehouse space, but office space. And so that's a huge part of our strategy. It's not just the FBI, but you'll hear about the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So bringing those agencies to Prince George's County. But we also see in the area of hospitality, hotels. You mentioned cybersecurity. We have a huge presence, defense presence here. You will see also increased presence of companies like Amazon that are coming here, data centers looking at technology. And so those are some of the areas that we are looking at and seeing have a natural space here.
Can you comment on small business and small business in the county and what that means for our story?
Well, small business has always been a huge part of the fabric of Prince George's County business. We're really proud of it. We have also taken additional steps to increase opportunities for small, local, and minority businesses. One of the areas that I might mention, for example, is I told you all that we broke ground on 11 new schools in Prince George's during COVID, and we were very intentional about making sure that we could have robust participation through small, local, and minority businesses, setting aside at least $235 million in order to do business with small, local, and minority businesses. So we are working to make sure that opportunity exists for all of our businesses, but small businesses are a huge part of our fabric, and we'd like to continue to see them grow. You know, we have a great need, for example, for healthy foods in our county. We've been working a lot to close up some of the food deserts, and we believe that one of the great ways that we will do this is by seeing some of the local businesses grow. We'd love to see more of that happening in Prince George's.
With that, Brad, I mean, we have more questions and a very full program. So unfortunately, if you've asked a question, I'll try to ask it of the following panels. So Brad, I'll give it to you for concluding words. And just a general note, we often have to clear these questions by the county executive's office. So I appreciate you taking some things here off the cuff. Thank you very much.
Well, let me just, because there was one question I did want to get to at the end that I want to ask it. Maybe this is a good way to kind of wrap it up too, is what's the greatest attribute of Prince George's County relative to the region? If somebody's got an investment decision to make, why Prince George's as opposed to one of our neighbors?
Oh my God, Prince George's is a dynamic place. It is not just universities such as the University of Maryland College Park, Bowie State, but we also have dynamic people here, talented and experienced individuals who are able to be a part of the fabric here. So just dynamic, everything from the roads and infrastructure that we have here, and most especially, I think one of the distinguishing characteristics would be the parks, trails, and open spaces. Prince George's County remains as a place that has the most undeveloped land in the state, and so we have beautiful open spaces that I think are really great assets for us, especially after COVID-19 in the way that people want to live. And so it is, and we're seeing the results of that people are interested in coming here and developing, and the county's reputation is growing daily. But we're a wonderful place to do business, a beautiful place to live. And we encourage all of you to continue to invest here, and thank you for your interest.
Can I add something that she can't say about herself?
I think that's a great lead. Yes, absolutely.
I I think one of the most important reasons to come here is leadership. As someone who is sort of on the ground, right, with my nose to the grindstone, just trying to get it done, you don't get it done unless the leadership is there. And County Executive Olsa Brooks, our CAO Tara Jackson, our Chief of Staff Joy Russell, these are women who consistently push us to do the aspirational. When we say something's hard or there's a barrier or we haven't done it that way before, they are not interested in that. They are interested in the aspirational. And that's the kind of leadership that ultimately pushes projects, pushes a jurisdiction to its next level. And so all of the folks in this audience who work in economic development in the county government know that the leadership that we've experienced is unparalleled. There was someone from a previous administration, not you, who came to me and said, who worked in economic development in a previous administration, came to me and said, you guys are just killing it. I don't know how you do it all. And my answer is leadership, because they push us to. So that's why you should choose Prince George's, because we've got the leadership that's pushing us to the next level.
That's great. Let me just, one last thing about the FBI, because I always love making this comparison, is because it is, if there's equity in the decision and sensibility in the decision, it's going to come to Prince George's County.
Absolutely.
Is you look at what the Pentagon meant to the Northern Virginia economy when that decision was made in the 40s, and what this decision is going to mean for our economy when the right decision is made and it comes to Prince George's County. I mean, it's just throwing fuel on the fire. Anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, just objectively, this is the best site for the FBI. And again, we just are excited to be as well positioned as we are. We're anticipating, hopefully, that decision will come before the year's end. And again, to everyone in this room, I apologize now if you hear a very loud yell somewhere across the county. You'll understand what this means. But you know what? I have to give credit first to you, Brad, who worked, for those who are well aware, in the previous administration and laid a lot of the groundwork along with others to make sure that that solicitation, the one that was rudely interrupted in 2017 and unceremoniously canceled in 2017. But there has been, I have to just say to all of you, first say thank you, Brad, thank you also, Angie, and BisNow, but there was a lot of work that has gone into positioning Prince George's County the way it is. I have to give credit to my predecessor, who I think did a beautiful job of really aligning some of the assets that we've seen today, and we're continuing to grow it. You know, this is something. This is my home, Prince George's. Pretty unashamed of that. You know, I will say it to anyone who hears that we are the crown jewel of Maryland. I think it's quite simple and an economic driver. But thank you all for having us again today, for allowing us to share some of the great news about Prince George's. We'll be around for a while for anyone who'd like to connect with us, but we are just excited and just really do appreciate your interest, and thank you for being a wonderful moderator as well and for hosting us today.
Well, County Executive, thank you for being generous with your time. You've joined us at this event in years past, and we remain an enthusiastic cheerleader for your administration's success and for the prosperity of the county. And we will enthusiastically produce this event in perpetuity. And next year, as the FBI headquarters headlines it, we encourage shouting at our events. So a huge round of applause for County Executive Olsa Brooks, Angela Rogers, and Brad Frome, our moderator.